Good evening, everybody. Of course, this is our second section or second session concerning research methods in language teaching, which you've received in software, and this is a hard copy of this syllabus, so it is examinable. We are gonna to sit for an exam by the end of this semester for this subject. So we are here now to brief you with the material concerning this course, and the second part is going to be practical. I will receive your questions and I will ask you some questions to be answered so that practically you can do the research. Hopefully that the pupil or the students outside Khartoum can interact with us. We can receive their questions. There is a telephone number. We receive their questions at any time, so they are welcome. So yesterday we talked about the research. What is it about? We said the research is all about inquiry, to answer an inquiry, to answer queries, and also it is a process that stated the objectives and defining the problem and formulating hypotheses. These are two different definitions of research. 3, it can be a system of a process inquiry consisting of 3 elements. That is the question, data, and analysis of this data. So this is what is all the research is about. Again, the research is done in order to get a result or an answer and to solve a problem and to prove and disprove ideas, some ideas. This is what is a research about. The different kind of researches, we talk about 5 different researches: quantitative research, a qualitative research, a primary research, a secondary research, and an action research. And we briefly define each one of these researches. Number 1, the quantitative research is a kind of intrusive research which is controlled. It is an objective and it is generalizable. You can generalize this research to other situations and problems. The qualitative research, on the other hand, it is quite the contrary to what we said about the quantitative research. It is undecidable, it is uncontrolled, it is subjective, and it is ungeneralizable. The primary research, we said, depends on primary information that we get from the individuals, and it is of 2 kinds, either case study or statistical. These are the 2 divisions or subdivisions of the primary research. The secondary research, on the other hand, consists of reviewing the literature in a given area or in a given period. So secondary and primary researches. The statistical research also can be divided into 2 subdivisions: survey and experimental. The survey, the study that you do or trace to find an answer to this problem. For example, you can devise a questionnaire to make a survey to a certain problem, to find answers or to come out with or touchable and tangible results. And in the experimental research, you make an experiment and you renew this experiment, and you do it so many times to see the consistency of this experiment, and then you come with the findings of the research. In an actual research, we said it is a kind of research that's done by a practitioner, a classroom teacher, for example, and it is collaborative. There is a collaborative effort between the teacher and the supervisor, and also there is a collaborative effort between the practitioner and the learners. So it is bidirectional. It is bidirectional effort made by it. What is meant by the action research? The action research should aim at change a certain phenomena or a certain syndrome. So It depends on this last point. Some key concepts concerning research. You said reliability and validity. Reliability and validity. These are two important things. What we said about reliability, it is the consistency of the research. The consistency of the research or the results obtained from the research. These results must be constant. And validity, we said the research should investigate what is supposed to investigate. And there are two different kinds of, we can subdivide yes, reliability and validity into still more concepts. We can speak about internal and external reliability, and we can speak about internal and external validity. And again, validity has one more division, which is construct validity, which is a kind of psychological quality. Construct validity is a kind of psychological quality, like we said, intelligence, motivation, proficiency, and aptitude of both the learner and the researcher. And some tools for collecting data. We said there are some tools to collect data for your research. We said observations, interviews, and diaries. We explain all this in details, and questionnaires. These are tools used to collect data, yes, for your researches, for the purpose of processing these information or data to come out with suitable findings that to solve the problem in question. And we talk about questionnaires must meet some conditions. There are some conditions that must be seen or met by in these questionnaires. The type of questions, the kind of questions. There should be closed, kind of closed questions or open-ended questions. These are two categories, two divisions of questions. And also we talk about the wording of questions. We said the question must be clear, not complex, and not confusing, and should not ask two things at a time. The question should not ask two things at a time. And then we conclude this and summarize this about the function of research. What is the function of research? It is all about adding to our knowledge of the world. When we devise a questionnaire, or we think of a questionnaire, we think of a research, we must think of adding to the knowledge of the world. Okay, so we come finally to the layout of the questionnaire. We said the questionnaire should include all the following: an introduction. This usually appears in the proposal. When we cite the proposal, before the introduction, we must decide upon a suitable title. This suitable title should be narrowed to pieces. When we come down, it should be narrow and limited in its scope. And then we come to introduction and statement of the problem. We should make a statement of the problem of the study or the research, and then 3, the objectives of the research. We must decide, yes, we must make a decision about the objectives of the research. And then from these objectives, we should construct questions of the study. And from these questions, we should construct the hypotheses of the study. And then we cite the significance of the study, and we see which method we are going to follow to make this research or to apply these methods in our research to come out with the findings. And then we have to fix the limits of our research, both in time and place. As the example that was said, the deterioration of the standard of English in the locality of Khartoum within the 5 past years. So this question is, this title is limited and broke down to details together with the limits of time and place. And finally, we should make a frame for all this research, which we call the scope of the research. The scope of the research talks about the chaptering. What do we do in chapter 1? What do we do in chapter 2? What do we do in chapter 3, chapter 4, and finally close our research with chapter 5? We said in chapter 1, it is the framework of the study. Actually, it is a proposal. We turn this proposal to be chapter 1. We will see this practically in the second part of this session. And then chapter 2, we review the literature. We come and write things about the literature that we come across. A and B, what are the previous studies? Those who gone before me, what have they said concerning this same problem? And then in chapter 3, we see the method, the methodology that we follow to tackle our research and to answer the problem of the research. And then we come to analyze all this data we collected, with which tool we have said, either a questionnaire or whatsoever. We analyze, we make an analysis for this data to come up to distill what findings, to distill answers to our research. And finally, as I said, we close our research with some recommendations to the policymakers what to do with my research to correct these answers. So this is a brief summary for what we said yesterday. Yes, hopefully that we interact together to answer some questions. Here I have a live example of a questionnaire, the wording of a questionnaire, together with an introduction and the items of the questionnaire. Yesterday we said either to be questions, open-ended or closed, or to be in form of statements. So we consult this and we see which is which, you see. So this is an example I said of a questionnaire. Try please to go through and ask me, and I will ask you some questions concerning this questionnaire. So what do you think about the layout of the research? Is it long or short? You go through the pages. Yes, you live through and tell me. Is it long, short, or is it suitable?
I think it is suitable.
Okay. So if someone is asking on the phone, we receive a question. Someone is asking outside the studio. Okay. Well, I think there is a barrier among us and the receiver. Thank you. Okay. What do you think of the length of this questionnaire? Is it suitable? Okay. Well, here the telephone number for the people to connect with us. The telephone number is 0183-242-774. Again, the telephone number for participation, those who are out of the studio, 0183-242-774. Okay, you are welcome to ask your questions, those who are out of the studio. Okay, what do you think of this? Is it suitable? What about the wording? What about the type of questions? Are they open-ended or are they closed questions? You tell me. Yeah, your comments. I need your comments, yeah? Okay, May?
I think it's quite long. The questions.
Or the questionnaire?
Quite long, yeah.
Yeah, the questions?
Yes.
The questions are long or the questionnaire is long?
The statements of the question.
The statements of the questionnaires are long. Yes.
Quite long.
How many of them?
Maybe 90, 59.
Almost 60.
59.
Almost 60. What is bad in them? Why do you think it is lengthy? Why do you think it is lengthy?
Quite long, but
Yeah.
logical.
Quite long but logical, yeah.
Yes.
So the longer the questions, the more number of questions you have, the more reliably is going to be your questionnaire.
Yes.
So this is something good to be lengthy, yes.
And also there are five options.
5 options, 5 domains, you mean? Yeah, 5 options, yeah.
Yes.
Which is quite agree,
Yeah.
partial agree, disagree, and quite disagree. So
Yeah.
the zone of the options is a little bit quite wide.
Yes.
This again should give reliability to the questionnaire. Yeah.
This is good, yeah.
So if there are 3, then we'll give you a chance to guess.
Yes. Maybe
But the
last
longer
five,
the options,
yeah.
the better the questionnaire. That's very good. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very good notice. Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you think?
About
Yeah.
the 5 options.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Did you have any notice concerning this questionnaire?
I think it is reasonable.
Reasonable.
Uh,
Why is it reasonable? Usually I have a lot of whys to ask.
the
Yeah.
quantity is not too much.
Yeah.
I read كده as soon as I can.
Yeah.
The questions, I found them
Very easy with reach.
not يعني I can't say very easy, but easy.
Do you think they can measure what is supposed to measure here?
Yes.
Yeah. Let us take the first domain. Teaching explicit grammar is not completely useful for fluency in English language.
Teaching grammar house in the
Yeah,
class.
consult the first 3 items, the first 3 statements. Do you think they belong to this domain? Could you read number 1? Could you read
Teaching,
number 1? Yeah?
teaching grammar helps in accuracy rather than fluency.
Yeah. Do you think that it is easy for the learners to answer this
I
question?
think it is easy.
And at the same time, it helps the purpose of asking this question.
What?
At the same time, do you think this statement will help the purpose of asking this question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think of number 2? Nay?
Okay.
Yeah.
The
You read
rules.
it and tell us, yeah?
Yeah. The rules of grammar don't help improving the language fluency.
Yeah.
The rules of grammar.
Yeah. What do you think of this item?
I think this item is, I agree totally with this item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you quite agree with this item?
Yes.
It helps, yes, in solving
Yes,
this
help
problem.
fluency.
If you turn a page and see domain 2, yeah. Well, the options are still the same, 5 options, which is good.
Yes.
And yes, the domain, what is the second domain?
The second domain, in teaching grammar, usually more concern is given to the rules than to the content.
Well, I mean by domain, this one here.
Yeah.
Domain 2,
27.
teaching grammar,
27.
teaching explicit grammar,
Teaching grammar.
the first line. Okay. So it matches with the purpose of the questionnaire. This is statement number 2.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you think of number 2, please?
This question.
Yeah. You do. Yeah, what do you think of number 2? Can it match?
Question?
Yeah?
Which is the rules of grammar
Yeah.
don't help improving the language and fluency. Fluency. The rules of grammar. No, I quite disagree.
You quite disagree. Yeah.
Yes,
So it helps the purpose of the questionnaire. This thing, does it match here? This sentence you said, it fits in this questionnaire.
Yes.
Yes, it fits in this questionnaire, yeah.
Yes.
If we turn again to page number 3 to see domain 3, or domain 2 part A,
3.
explicit teaching grammar, handicaps,
three.
communication skills, yeah.
Number come.
Yeah.
That's 3.
Page 3,
What's
yeah.
the number?
Yeah. Page 3, the third domain, explicit grammar, teaching handicaps, the communication skills. Well, if we focus on the first 3 items, 11, 12, and 13.
11. That's
11, 12, and 13. Do you
Yeah.
think they will help the purpose of this questionnaire?
We cannot
Yes, please, may tell us the number 1 and tell us.
communicate effectively if we make grammar mistakes. We cannot communicate effectively if we make grammar mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, you agree, yes. What about number 12, please? You read it loudly and tell us.
Number 2, fluency in the language is more important than accuracy.
Yes, exactly. Fluency in the language is more important than accuracy. What do you think of this? Yes. Does it help the purpose of this point here?
Yes, it helps.
Yes, because our point is about what? Communication.
Yes. When
What is
there's
important,
communication,
yeah.
maybe there
Yeah.
fluency.
Fluency
Yeah,
is needed better than accuracy.
than accuracy.
That's very good. Yeah. What about item number 3?
Number 3.
Yeah, 13.
We need to learn grammar first to provide a foundation for communication succession.
Does it also help?
We
This
need to
variety,
learn
yeah.
grammar first.
Yeah.
Yes. When we want to speak language or to learn language, we must know the form and we must know how to speak
Yeah.
this language. So grammar is the form of language, or
The form of the language, yeah.
yes.
That's very good. Yeah, it should help.
This
Our
help-
accuracy is supposed to
help
be
the
on.
questionnaire. Yes.
Okay, that's very nice. Well, turning the other page, Yes, our domain here is explicit grammar drives away students from thinking in the language. Thinking in the language is one aim, yes, for the learning, yeah, apart from the learning skills, yeah. We said explicit grammar drives the students away
Which number?
from thinking in the language. So we talk about 38, 39, and 40. We have 3 items, the first 3 items. Do you think these first 3 items in the questionnaire, do they fit here in the questionnaire? Let us take 38, yeah?
30,
38.
38. When one expresses himself, herself in the language, he, she loses.
Read it aloud first time, don't read for yourself, yeah? Read it aloud, yeah? Read it aloud.
When one expresses himself, herself in the language, he, she loses some words in hurry.
Yeah. Do you think this item, this statement, helps,
Yes,
yeah, in this questionnaire concerning thinking in the language?
yes.
You think it fits? Yeah, it fits in this questionnaire.
Yes, yes,
yeah.
I think so.
So we can conclude that the sentences should be help in solving the purpose, you see?
Yes.
They match the purpose of our devising these questions in the questionnaire, or this statement in the questionnaire. They should relate to the questionnaire, you see?
Yes.
Yeah. What about 39? You?
Okay.
Yeah?
We cannot always recall the words we want to say when we think grammatically in what we want to say.
Yeah, this concerning remembrance,
Yes.
recall, to remember it. Yeah.
Yes. When we want to speak, if we want to think
Yeah.
grammatically and speak, maybe here there is no fluency.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, but
Yeah.
we have to activate,
Yes.
yes, our
Yeah.
mental effort just to think in the language.
Yes.
This is one step of learning the language.
Yes.
If
So-
you think in the language, then we can say that you can learn the language spontaneously. You can learn it, yes, automatically. You can learn the language.
Yes.
So this is one stage that we should race to or compete to reach this stage, to think in the language. This is a good step to learn the language. What about number 4?
For
Spontaneous speech. Yeah.
Spontaneous speech is always
Free from
Mistakes,
Yes.
yeah. The speech that comes all of a sudden is from mistakes. We call it impromptu. The speech that comes without planning. You don't plan to use this speech, so it comes free from mistakes. This also challenges and rings in the singing skills of the language.
yes.
So the ultimate goal we need is that we think in the language. So it helps in our purpose of devising this questionnaire. So the last page concerning this questionnaire, which explicit grammar makes the students anxious and free and fear committing mistakes. Yeah. Explicit grammar makes the students anxious and fearing committing mistakes.
Yes.
So this is our domain. If we focus on the first 3 items or sentences concerning this questionnaire, that is 49, 50, 51. What do you think of number 1?
Number 1.
Does it fit in this questionnaire?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Fearing committing mistakes and errors causes one anxious.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I agree with this.
You agree with this?
Yeah.
So it fits in our domain.
Yes.
It matches with our domain.
Yes, matches.
Okay.
Because when we think about grammar, something we can make fear and anxious, and also there is no self-confidence here.
Okay, okay. Well, I think there is someone calling outside the studio. Hello? 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 Well, again, there is a lot of cut off of the line. There is a call on the line, huh? Sorry. Okay. What do you think of number 50? 50?
50.
Yeah.
It irritates me to learn grammar rules by heart and recite them back.
Okay. Okay. What do you think of this? Does it fit and matches our purpose?
I think it is matching.
Okay. And also number 3. So this is the way the research goes. Either you make statements and you give options to be ticked or marked. Either you agree or disagree, or there is a zone as we have it here. Quite agree, agree, partial agree, disagree, and quite disagree. So it cuts in 5 columns and you tick one of them. And it is done in a form of statements. The statements should be matching for the purpose of our research. The second part, as I said, well, this is the form of the research. The form, the layout of the research, usually briefed in chapter 1. We said an introduction. You should give a brief introduction about your research. And then we come to the statement of the problem. Please, yes, please may read the statement of the problem. Okay. Yeah, just to have an idea about how to state a problem. Yeah.
Statement of the problem.
Yeah.
Literature represent one of the important tools in language teaching.
Why did we say here literature? Because our topic or our research is about literature in classroom teaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the absence of literature from curriculums and syllabuses affects language teaching process negatively. Negatively.
That's good.
Yes. The teachers who teach literature are likely to provide a wide, fruitful, and valuable means to their learners, whereas the teachers who don't teach literature narrow the scope of teaching a language in the way that makes their learners demotivated and discouraged to learn the language.
Very good. Yes, well done. So in this part, we state the problem of the questionnaire very clearly. Yes, you explain, you screen the problem that under investigation. So you should put it under a microscope to be seen clearly. Your problem should be seen clearly in this title. So this is the statement of the problem. What is the significance of the study? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The study investigates the effects of the absence of literature from syllabuses and curriculum on foreign language teaching process. It is important because it is thought that introducing literature in curriculums and syllabuses facilitates teaching foreign language process in that it contextualizes the process similar to the way language is conceived and used by its natives. Teaching a foreign language differs from the teaching other subjects and disciplines. Teaching a language comprises teaching the culture, norms, traditions, and customs of the target language. Literature introduces and reflects all these concepts. So the absence of literature
contextualizes
the teaching process.
Okay, in this part of the research, which is the significance of research, well, another word for significance, importance. What is the importance of this study? So you state it very clearly as it is done in line 2. It is important because if you try to trace line 2, trace with your finger line 2. It is important because it is thought that introducing literature and curriculums and syllabuses facilitated the teaching of the foreign language. So you made your problem pinpointed. You see? You enlarge it. You balloon it.
Yes.
You make it clear, outstanding.
Yes.
Okay. So in this part you tell the importance of your study. And then you come a step further to jot down or to set down your objectives. Yeah, may I please try to read out the objectives of the study concerning this topic.
The study is constructed to achieve all following objectives.
You see, the following objectives. Yes. We have 2 objectives here. We state them in sentences. Sentence number 1 and sentence number 2. Yeah, number 1?
Number 1, to emphasize the role of literature in foreign language teaching.
You see how we started our objective with a verb, infinitive. To emphasize.
Yes.
To emphasize. You see?
Yes.
It should start with an infinitive verb. Yeah, the objective.
Yes.
Yeah, number 2.
Number 2, to clarify the fact that literature can be used as a tool of yes,
Tool
as a tool to compensate for artificial situation in foreign language teaching context.
Yeah, so we stated the 2 objectives of the question.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are clearly the objective of our study today. Yes, we need to turn these objectives to questions. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You see?
Yes.
Yeah.
The question of the study: is literature an effective tool in English language teaching?
You see, this is the first point. Turn to what? A question.
Yes.
Here we said to emphasize the role of literature in foreign language teaching.
Yeah.
You say, is literature an effective tool in English language teaching?
Yes.
We form it in a form of a question.
Yeah.
To make a question of the study or a question of the research. Yeah, number 2.
Okay, number 2, does a literary text expose teachers to the target language culture?
Okay. No? Okay.
Yes, this is number 2.
Now, just to remember you, please, those who are outside the studio, you can call or connect with us through this telephone number, which is 0183-242-774. Again, the telephone inside the studio that you could connect with us to attend this session or this lecture is 0183-242-2774. Thank you. Okay?
Yes.
The questions of the study.
Yes.
You see, you notice here, we have 2 objectives, but 3 questions.
Yeah.
Still, you can divide one objective into 2 different questions,
yes,
but related to the objective or to the aim. Yeah. So, number 3.
Question number 3. Is there any relationship between linguistics and literature?
Yeah. So, these are the 3 questions to be answered with our research. I do this research actually to answer these 2 questions. Do we answer them in brief? You answer them scientifically to convince the readers. You see, the problem outside we see in our classes, in our schools, is answered here in my research. The findings. I studied this problem in details. I researched. I studied the previous literature. You see, and now I processed the data and I did so many questionnaires and I conclude to these answers or these recommendations. So your question, these questions, in answering these questions in length, you will make research. This is all the research is about, to answer these questions,
yes,
to answer these queries. If you remember, when I explained the research, the first definition of research is about an inquiry or a query, about a question to be answered. So this is what is all the research is about, to answer these questions. Yes, what comes next? The hypothesis, please. Read the hypothesis, yeah.
Hypothesis of the study.
Yeah,
Number 1, literature is a vital tool in English language teaching.
yeah,
Number 2, teaching English language through literary texts exposes teachers to the target language culture. 3, teaching literary texts enhances foreign language teaching,
okay.
understanding and usage.
That's very good, yeah, that's very good. Okay, you see the 3 hypotheses are constructed or built from the 3 questions of the research.
Yeah.
We turn these 3 questions into 3 hypotheses. I hypothesize the following. You see, number 1, it is saying from the first question, literature is a vital tool in English language teaching. So I hypothesize the following. You see, and I try to trace these hypotheses, you see, and I will process my data or a statement to see the answers of the questionnaire until to prove this hypothesis true or disprove it. So you have 2 ways, no third way. There is no third way. Either you prove it or disprove it.
Okay.
You see. And again you come to the second hypothesis, and then you study it into details, and then again you prove it or disprove it, and then you shift to the third one, and you do with the third as you did with the first and the second one. So, and then you should explain in your research the limits of your study, whether concerning time or place. Yeah? Tell us the limits of your study.
Yes. This study is limited to the role of literature in foreign language teaching. It's subject in the English language teacher in secondary schools.
You see,
So
this is the people or the
yes.
sample of the study or population of the study concerning focusing on what? Teachers at the secondary stage
schools.
or secondary schools, yes, are going to do what? The questionnaire.
Yes.
The people who are going to answer the questionnaire, yeah, or the population or the sample of the study, yes, a target or the target group is what? A group of teachers in secondary, so of course English teachers at secondary schools to answer the questionnaire. And then you tell the methodology. What method do you follow to do your questionnaire? Yeah?
The methodology of the study,
Yeah.
the instrument whereby the researcher collects the data is a questionnaire.
Yeah,
For the
questionnaire for the
subjects.
subjects.
Yeah.
Subjects we mean the teachers.
Yes.
The teachers, the
English language
sample, yeah.
teachers, yeah.
The
English.
target group, yeah.
Yeah.
English language teachers, yeah.
Yes.
So this is what all the research is about. If you follow these steps, you will do, I can say a scientific research, a successful kind of research. Yeah. Ask me any questions if you need to ask questions. If it is not clear to you what I've said, try to ask questions. I'm ready to receive any queries, yeah, from you or the people outside the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
These steps or these things very clearly.
Yeah, very clear.
Yes. But what about the researcher's opinion, or how can we add my opinion to this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you add points to this opinion. This opinion are not an end in themselves.
Yeah.
You need to add. If you, for example, ask a question is that the literature is very important, well, in our curriculum. So you can add to this body. You can add. You can devise your own literature.
I can comment after
Yeah.
interviewee.
You-
I comment
Yeah.
and add my opinion.
You need the tools through which you can collect data.
Yeah.
You are free. Yeah? You are free to choose whatever tools that you need to tackle your research. You are free in using this tool or that tool, a questionnaire or interview or observation or a diary, or an experiment. What you do, you are free to do it. But you see, a suitable tool that meets your the study.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you question?
Yeah.
Clear for me.
So everything is clear to you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for attending this session, and I'm happy with your contact and interaction in this class, and the kind of question that you answered, and the queries that you've asked, and I hope you all the best to pass your exams and to tackle and to choose real problem, yes, in concerning our schools, whether secondary or basic schools, and then you go through your research to answer this problem and to make good recommendations for the policymakers. This is what all I hope that you can do. You don't make it theoretical study. Do it practically. You try to investigate a problem that could be of help to the policymakers, that they could change within our syllabuses at the schools. And thank you very much for attending.
Thanks.
And I'm very sorry for those who didn't contact us for a reason or another from outside Khartoum area. Thank you very much. We meet again. Thank you.